There's a ritual that plays out in driveways and along garden fences all across America, and if you own a home, you've probably lived it. You spot the weeds coming up through the cracks in the concrete, you drive to the store, and you stand in front of a shelf of weed killers. Bottles with warning labels, gloves recommended. Keep children and pets off the lawn for 48 hours. You spend $20–$30, you spray, and you go inside feeling vaguely uneasy about what you just put on the ground where your grandkids play. Tonight, I'm going to tell you why there's a $2 bottle in your kitchen right now that scorches those same weeds dead by morning, why the lawn care industry would really rather you not think about it, and the two things almost everybody gets wrong with it. Because if you use it the way most people do, you'll swear it doesn't work, and you'll be wrong. By the end of this, you're going to look at that shelf of expensive sprays very differently. Let me start with a number that should make you blink. The weed killer market in this country is worth billions of dollars a year, and one single famous herbicide ingredient has been at the center of lawsuits, with settlements and verdicts running into the billions. Tens of thousands of people claiming harm, juries awarding staggering sums. I'm not here to tell you what's true in those courtrooms. The science gets argued hard on both sides. But here's the point that matters for you tonight. While all of that has been playing out, while people have been spraying that stuff on the same patios where their dogs nap and their grandchildren crawl, the answer to a cracked driveway weed problem has been sitting in the pantry the whole time, costing about $2, and almost nobody connected the dots. So why does this problem exist in the first place? Why do weeds love the worst, ugliest, most impossible spots? The crack in the concrete, the gap between the pavers, the gravel path? Here's the first hidden truth. A weed is just a plant growing where you don't want it. And the plants that colonize cracks are nature's toughest pioneers. A single weed can produce a staggering number of seeds. Some common weeds drop tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of seeds from one plant in a season. And those seeds can lie dormant in the soil for years, some for decades, waiting. Scientists have sprouted weed seeds from soil that sat buried for over 100 years. So that crack in your driveway isn't dirty. It's a seed bank, fully stocked, just waiting for a little water and sun. You are never going to finish weeds. You're managing a vault of seeds that's been filling up since before you bought the house. And here's why the crack specifically. A seed that lands in a crack gets warmth from the concrete, moisture that collects and lingers, and zero competition. No grass crowding it out, no gardener disturbing it. It's the perfect nursery. The weed isn't being stubborn. It found the safest spot on your whole property, and it's right out in the open mocking you. Now let's talk about why the common solutions fail, because this is where the quiet frustration builds. People reach for three things, and every one of them disappoints in its own way. The first is pulling them by hand. Feels honest, feels thorough. But here's the trap. Most of these crackweeds, the dandelions and the rest, have a deep taproot, and when you yank the top, the root snaps off below the surface and stays alive. Within a week or two, it pushes up a fresh rosette of leaves, sometimes two where there was one, and now you've done the weeds pruning for it. You didn't kill it, you gave it a haircut and made it angry. The second is the expensive chemical herbicide, and the failure there is subtler than you'd think. Yes, it often works, but you've now put a synthetic herbicide on a hard surface, concrete, pavers, where it doesn't bind to soil and break down the way it might in a garden bed. Instead, the next rain washes it off the driveway, down the slope, into the gutter, into the storm drain, and eventually into the creek. You treated a 1-foot crack and dosed the whole watershed. And you paid $30 for the privilege, plus the unease of keeping the family off the area for 2 days. And the third failure is the most common of all, and it's the one that traps people who try the natural route too. They treat the weed once, see it go brown, declare victory, and are stunned when it's back in 3 weeks. Because here's what nobody explains. Browning the leaves is not the same as killing the plant. The part you can see is only half the story, and the half you can't see is the half that matters. So here's the question this whole video turns on. If pulling them just prunes them and the chemical sprays wash into the creek and cost a fortune, and one treatment never seems to last, is there actually something cheap, something already in your house, that kills these weeds dead without the warning label? Or is that just wishful thinking? And the answer, this is the reveal, is yes. And it's been hiding in plain sight on your kitchen counter and in your spice rack the entire time. Vinegar. Plain vinegar, With a couple of cheap helpers, we'll burn a weed to brown, shriveled death by the next morning, fast, visible, and for about $2 a bottle. The acetic acid in vinegar is a contact herbicide, and on a warm, sunny day it works shockingly fast. But, and this is the part that separates the people who swear by it from the people who swear it's useless, there are two things you have to get right, and almost everybody gets at least one of them wrong. Here's the science, because once you understand it, you'll understand both the power and the limits. Vinegar is acetic acid in water. When you spray it on a leaf, the acid strips away the waxy protective coating on the leaf surface and ruptures the plant's cell membranes. The plant can no longer hold its moisture, and it desiccates. It literally dries out and dies from the outside in. That's why it works so fast and so visibly. You can watch a weed wilt within hours on a hot day because the sun accelerates the drying. But here's the catch that explains the number one failure. Your kitchen vinegar is only about 5% acetic acid. At that strength, it scorches young, tender weeds beautifully, but on a big established weed, it often only burns the leaves while the roots survive, and the weed regrows. The horticultural and agricultural vinegars that researchers have tested for serious weed control run much stronger, around 20% acetic acid, 4 times your kitchen bottle. And here's the serious warning that comes with that power. 20% vinegar is no longer a mild kitchen product. It can cause real chemical burns to skin and serious injury to eyes. So for most homeowners, household vinegar, handled safely, is the sensible tool, and you make up for its gentleness with technique, not by reaching for industrial acid you're not equipped to handle. So now let me tell you exactly how this is done, because this is where technique beats strength. The first thing almost everyone gets wrong. They spray plain vinegar, and it beads up and rolls right off the waxy leaf so barely any of it stays on the plant. The fix is the same trick that defeats so many pests and plants alike, a surfactant. You add a small squirt of liquid dish soap to the vinegar, maybe a teaspoon per quart, and the soap breaks the surface tension, so the vinegar spreads out and clings to the leaf instead of rolling off. That one addition can be the difference between a weed that shrugs and a weed that's dead by dawn. Many old recipes also stir in a cup of table salt, and salt does add killing power by drawing moisture out of the plant and poisoning the ground. But here's a crucial caution: the recipes never mention salt does not break down. It stays in the soil and can sterilize that spot for a long time, killing whatever you try to grow there later and washing into nearby beds. So salt belongs only in places where you want nothing to ever grow. The deep cracks of a driveway, a gravel path, and never ever near a garden bed, a lawn, or the roots of a tree you care about. And the second thing people get wrong is timing and weather. You spray on a hot, sunny, dry day, ideally in the late morning, because the sun supercharges the drying out effect and you want several dry hours afterward. Spray before rain and you've washed your work away. Spray on a cool, cloudy day and it limps. And you spray directly, carefully, because vinegar is non-selective. It does not know a weed from a flower from a blade of grass. It will brown whatever it touches. So in a driveway crack, spray freely. But anywhere near plants you love, this is a careful, targeted job, not a broad sweep, which is exactly why it suits the cracks and edges where weeds grow alone. Now here's the second secret. The factor almost everyone ignores, and the real reason vinegar gets a bad reputation. Are you ready? Vinegar kills the top, not the root. And for tough perennial weeds with deep taproots, the only way to win is to attack the root's energy supply, not the leaves. Think about what's really happening underground. A dandelion, a thistle, bindweed, these store their energy in a deep root. And when you burn off the leaves, the root just spends its savings to push up new ones. Burn them again, it spends more. But here is the old-timer's secret that turns vinegar from a temporary fix into a real kill. Persistence on a schedule starves the root. Every time the weed sends up new leaves and you scorch them again before they can photosynthesize and resupply the root, you force the plant to keep spending and never earning. Do that 2, 3, 4 times over a few weeks, and even a deep taproot runs out of stored energy and dies for good. The people who say vinegar doesn't work sprayed once and quit. The people who win treat it like a siege, not a single battle. And for a really stubborn taprooted weed, there's a combination move. You pour boiling water over it first to shock and weaken it, or you slice the crown, and then you hit the regrowth with vinegar each time it dares to come back. You're not out-poisoning the weed, you're outlasting it. So let me build you the complete system. The thing no single bottle on the shelf gives you, because there's no profit in telling you the whole answer costs $2. The foundation is the vinegar and soap spray. Household vinegar with a little dish soap as a sticker, applied on a hot, dry day, directly on the weeds in your cracks and edges, and repeated on every flush of regrowth until the root gives up. The second layer is matching the method to the spot. Salt added only in the hardscape cracks where you want a permanent dead zone and never near anything you're growing. Boiling water as a free instant weapon for walkway cracks, because a kettle of boiling water poured straight onto a weed cooks its cells on contact and costs nothing at all. The third layer, and the one that actually ends the war, is denying the seed bank its opening. Weeds colonize bare, open cracks, so once a spot is clear, you fill it. You sweep fine sand or polymeric sand in the paver joints, you seal the driveway cracks, you lay down mulch thick in the beds, 3 inches deep, to block the light those buried seeds need to sprout. A seed that can't find light and bare space can't grow, no matter how long it's been waiting. Kill what's there, then close the door behind it. That's the whole system. Scorch the leaves, starve the root, then seal the gap so the seed bank stays locked. 3 layers, and the store only ever sells you a one-time spray for the top in a bottle with a warning label at 30 times the price. Now let's do the math, because this is where it lands. A name brand concentrated weed killer runs you $20 to $40 a bottle, and a lawn service to handle weeds and edging can run well over $100 a visit, several visits a season. Now compare. A gallon of household vinegar costs around $3 to $4 and makes batch after batch. A bottle of dish soap you already own. A box of salt for the driveway cracks, $1 or $2. Boiling water is free. It's the cheapest herbicide on earth, and it's already in your kettle. A bag of polymeric sand to seal the joints for good, maybe $20 one time, and then those joints stop growing weeds for years. You're looking at single digits to get started against $30 or $40 a bottle, and the homemade version doesn't come with a 48-hour keep-off warning or a trip down to the creek. So let's bring this all the way home. Remember standing in front of that shelf of warning labels, about to spend $30 and feeling uneasy about what you were putting on the ground where the grandkids play. Now you understand the whole picture. The weeds in your cracks aren't a dirt problem. They're a seed vault that's been filling for decades, exploiting the one safe spot on your property. Pulling them just prunes them. The expensive spray washes into the creek, and the cheap kitchen answer was real the whole time. But only if you knew the 2 things nobody tells you, that it needs a little soap to stick and that it kills the top. So you have to lay siege to the root, not fight it once. None of this was hidden because it's complicated. It was hidden because there's no money in a $2 bottle of vinegar and a kettle of hot water. The pieces were kept scattered on purpose, and the scattering was always the business model. So here's what I'm asking you to do, and it's small. The next hot, sunny morning you get, mix up a spray bottle of plain vinegar with a teaspoon of dish soap. Walk out to the worst crack in your driveway and soak the weeds growing there. Then check on them the next morning. And come back to this channel and tell me in the comments how fast they browned. By morning, by afternoon, because on a hot day it happens faster than you'd believe, and I want to hear it. Then mark your calendar to hit the regrowth, because that's the part that actually wins. If this pulled the curtain back for you even a little, subscribe and tap the bell, because this is exactly what we do here at Home Remedy Files. We go find the thing they quietly hoped you'd never look up, and we look it up anyway. Stay close. There's a lot more buried out there, and we're only just getting started.